Keep coming. Got him! Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh, there he is. Awesome 30 kilo GT. There he is right there. Oh my God, big fish. Woo-hoo-hoo! Hasn't woken up this guy yet. There he is. Off he goes. Yeah. Righto guys, my name is Glanville. I've been guiding with Nomad Sport Fishing for the last 4 years and I've been fortunate enough to be doing this for the last 9 years. I've had the opportunity to fish in places like Oman, Mozambique, Seychelles, and obviously the Great Barrier Reef and in the Coral Sea, which to me is undoubtedly the best place in the world to catch fish like GTs, and the variety and the species of fish that you can target out here is just endless. This whole show, guys, is all about teaching you guys how to catch GTs, where to fish, why to fish, and obviously the three main things: current, structure, and bait. That's all about GT fishing. So I'm going to be touching on location, guys, where to fish, why to fish those places, tides, why to fish certain places of the reef at certain times of the tides. We'll stop and we'll touch on different lures for different aspects, like different bait fish, obviously like that. We'll cover tackle, everything why your tackle needs to be 100% ready 100% of the time, and then the hookup and the instruction of the GCs when you catch them, how to fight them, and driving on them, which makes life a little bit easier. So yeah, we're going to go through everything in detail, so hopefully you guys learn a bit, and yeah, well, let's go get out and catch a couple. Righto guys, I'm going to be showing you about the tides today. Tides are very important when it comes to GT fishing. Obviously tides create current, and the more current flowing around, the more bait fish there is moving around, and obviously that means the GTs will be more inclined to feed. So we're going to have a look at some detail in the tides, and from there we're going to go onto a Google map illustration. I'm going to show you guys where to fish at that particular part of the reef, at what time and why. So first of all, we need to know our tides. We've got a low tide this morning at 11 o'clock, and that's a 0.65 meter low, so it's actually fairly shallow. And then we've got a 2.5 meter high at 4:45 this afternoon, so that means we've got a fairly decent tides. We're around the moon at the moment. I think it's a new moon, so that means we've got a nice decent tidal change. And if you have a look at our chart here, we've got a huge run out this morning, so we've got a run out from 2.5 meters down to a 0.65 low, so that's a really big run out. The run in tide this afternoon is a lot smaller, but that doesn't really worry us too much because we'll be finished fishing by then. When we get on the water at about 8 o'clock this morning, we're going to look at about a tide of about a 1.7 meter low, high, running out, and we've got about a meter of change, so that's quite a bit. We might be able to get into some blue holes straight up, and then from there we'll be looking at things like shoals, eddies, cutouts. It's probably going to be a little bit low for pressure edges, because the pressure edges you want to fish when there's a little bit of water flowing over the reef. So judging by that, we're going to go look at our map, and I'll show you guys where we're going to go and where to place yourself at certain times of the tide. Obviously at 11 o'clock this morning, it's going to be really low, so there'll be a lot of reef sticking out of the water, so you'll have to sort of, that's good because it channels the currents in certain areas, and you can find really productive areas even on a change of the tide like that. So I'll show you how to find productive areas on a very low tide change like that, and then from there we'll just plan our day, and I'll use this tide chart to basically explain how the day is going to go. Right guys, so we've checked our tides. We know we've got an 11 o'clock this morning is a dead low tide. It's a 0.65 meter low, and we know we've got a 4:45 high tide this afternoon. That's a 2.5 meter high. We're around the new moon at the moment, guys, so we're going to have a lot of current movement, which is really good. The more current moving around, like we know, the more bait fish and the more fish are inclined to bite. So we're going to look at our map. The first thing we need to know, guys, is which way those tides flow, and from there we'll be able to pick our spots that we're going to go fish. So by doing that, we look at the main channels, guys. The main channels are the arteries of the reef, and they basically feed the current, and that's the way the current will flow in and out. So basically, we know we're going to have a run out going at that angle over there, and a run in tide will flow down the reef like that. So basically, knowing that, guys, we're gonna get out on the water about 8 o'clock. So we're gonna have about sort of 3-4 hours of a run out tide. As soon as we get out there, we'll have a change and we'll have a bit of run in the afternoon. So we're anchored in here at the moment. We're gonna sneak around. We won't have enough time to get into pressure edges because the reef's already gonna be too low. So we'll have enough time to quickly sneak into a few blue holes, and then from there we're going to have to fish a couple of cutouts on the channel. So we'll go around here, we'll fish our way through these blue holes, sneak over the reef there, so we've got enough water. You don't want to damage the boat or get stuck inside these blue holes. We'll go around there. What's going to happen right at the end of the tide is all the current, because it's flowing that way, is going to be draining off these shallow coral flats. And with the tide running out there, it creates these little cutouts, all these cutouts on the reef. The GTs will sit inside those cutouts and wait for the water to flow off the reef and basically ambush any bait fish and stuff that flow off the edge of the reef there. So we might sit out, have a bit of lunch after that, and we'll look at a run-in tide for the afternoon. So we'll make our way to the front edge of the reef like that, where the tide's coming in. We'll hit a couple of those shoals on the outside there, and from there we'll have about sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we really want to be looking at making our way home throughout the reef. So we'll fish a couple of those shoals. We'll come into the back of the bay here. These bommies in this bay are going to hold some nice current, and there will be fish sitting inside there. We'll have a nice little eddy over there to come through, sneak through this channel, and then we'll come down this main channel on the way home, and it should be a pretty successful day of GT fishing. So yeah, let's get out on the water and go catch a few. GT fishing is all about lure casting, guys. I'm going to run you through a quick casting demo and how to do it, and a little bit of technique, so it makes your life a little bit easier on the water. Obviously, when you're GT fishing, you're casting all day. So guys, a little bit of technique goes a long way. So basically, as far as a cast goes, guys, you want a decent amount of line between the lure and the top of your rod. That gives you a nice bit of leverage to use the tip of the rod to flick your lure out there. Second thing is you want to grab your reel with your finger around the reel seat here, finger on the line there, and the line coming at 90 degrees off the reel. And from there, you grab the back of the rod, right at the back here. Have a look where you want to cast, guys, and always look behind you before you cast to make sure you're not hooking someone or some part of the boat. And again, look where you want to cast, and what you want to do is you want to pull with this hand and push with your right hand and let the rod go at about 45-degree angle, and the lure will fly to where it's supposed to be. So here we go. Off she goes. Guys, it's come the time of the day when we're going to go fish in the blue holes. Blue hole fishing has got to be the most exciting fishing. You're on these beautiful shallow coral flats, and what a blue hole is basically is a hole on top of the reef. So when the tide fully drains out, it'll be like a swimming hole, more like a tidal pool on top of the reef. And what the GTs do is they'll trap themselves inside that hole, and as the tide runs off the flats and gets shallower and shallower and falls into those holes, the GTs will wait in those holes and ambush all the fish that come off the flats. So one thing about blue holes, guys, you've got to be very careful, judge the tides right, make sure you look at your map, and always make sure you've got an exit route to get out of the hole, because if you get stuck in a hole, you're going to be there all day and it's not very pleasant. So this is looking extremely good. There's definitely going to be a fish inside here. We're going to put a lure inside, guys. Keep your eyes peeled, because the takes inside blue holes are absolutely unbelievable. And this is where the big fish sit, guys. The big fish are here. They're eating coral trout, they're eating spangled emperors. So you want to use a lure that's similar, sort of a decent sized popper, slow pops, or what I've got is a nice big stick bait here, which is a 200 gram stick bait, something to imitate a coral trout. Right, guys, we're on the money here. Let's give it a cast and see what happens. Oh my God, big fish! It's coming this side of me, it's good at the moment. Guys, we're fishing this blue hole. Beautiful current, we're at the perfect time of the tide. We've got the current draining off the flats inside these little holes here, and we've had a cast, and an absolute beast of a fish came up, smashed the lure, would have been over 40 kilos, and as the hook came out, and as the hook came out, a smaller one grabbed it. This one's probably around 20, 25, but what a spectacular take, man, the big fish. So unfortunate the hook fell out, but just shows you how much competition is inside these blue holes. There's just fish, and whatever comes past, they just absolutely smash it, eh? Just under 20 kilos, I'd say. And man, they were proper fired up, guys. So we're gonna take the hook out. We're gonna sneak back up there. We might get another shot at that big fish. Cool, guys, we're on the dead low tide at the moment. We've walked ourselves into a blue hole, and this blue hole is surrounded by dry reef at the moment. So all the GTs that were roaming around these coral flats that we're standing on at the moment, they would have trapped themselves inside this blue hole and waited for all these little fish that are cruising around these gutters here. They would have waited as the tide ran out and eaten them as they go along. So we've taken a walk inside. We're gonna throw a couple of lures here, guys, and I dare say there'll be a few fish here. There's always GTs cruising around these blue holes. Even though these blue holes are completely surrounded by dry reef, they are a whole entire ecosystem themselves. So we'll give it a go, and it's usually pretty spectacular having a fish come right up on the reef edge here and eat your lure. There he is, bro. Woohoo! Hooked up. This is what it's all about, guys. GT fishing out in the Coral Sea. Woohoo! Oh, check out the shark! Oh my God! Woo! Did you guys see that? That is absolutely incredible. We've just had about a 200 kilo bull shark come and absolutely obliterate my GT. Here he's cruising right here. Oh, and there's just GTs all over with him. Absolutely phenomenal, guys. Rightio, guys, as you can see, the reef's very, very low at the moment. We're on the dead low tide, and everywhere around us just dry reef. This has given us a chance to safely anchor our boats up, and we're going to take a walk inside these blue holes and have a few casts inside them. As you can see, guys, where we're walking, you can see how the reef is all dead. And the reason for this, guys, is that the amount of current that flows over these reefs every day, and the sun, obviously during the low tide, beating down on them, it doesn't give anything a chance to grow. So we're not doing any damage to the reef at all by taking a walk across these flats on the dead low tide. As you can see, guys, the reef is getting really, really shallow. We're just getting out of the reef now, drifting into the deep water, and you can have a look and see the current here is absolutely raging. We've got all this water falling off the flats into the main channel. We've got screaming current here. So what we're going to do, we're going to cruise down this main channel. There'll be a couple of cutouts in the reef, and there should be some GCs waiting in ambush there for all the fish to get sucked off the flats. Once we've done that, we'll make best use of the tides. We've got about an hour left of the run out tide, and the reef will be really, really shallow. Right on the back of the reef, we'll have water draining off the flats into little drains. We'll just go and find those little drains at the back of the reef, and all the fish that are on those flats, always, they'll go out to those drains too. So it should be really good. We've got some good fishing coming. Let's go and have a look-see. Right, what happens here, guys, I've just hooked a fish. He's just gone around the corner of the bommy there, so we're not going to put too much pressure on him. He'll come back around. There we go, he started coming around. We can put a bit more hurt on him now. When you pull the fish hard like that, guys, and you're in a a sticky situation, they will try and cut you off. But if you're a little bit softer on them, often they'll swim back out of the reef. So it's exactly what's happened here. If you have a look over there, we hooked him right on the corner there. He went around, we just gave him a bit of slack, and he came back around the reef. Here she comes. See guys, that's what we're talking about. A perfect hookup in the corner of his mouth with the single there. It's gone right around the jawbone. There's no way that hook will ever come out. So, another nice little fish, guys. Off she goes. You can have a look where we caught this fish, guys. If you see, there's a bit of drains there. There's 2 or 3 drains coming out of one particular area there, and that's an ideal scenario because in front of those drains, there's a massive coral flat. So there would have no doubt been possibly hundreds of GTs feeding on those flats during the tide, and they have to come off the flat somewhere, and they come straight out of these drains at the end of the run-out tide. This is the kind of spot where you would only fish at the end of the run-out tide, guys. The last hour or so, this is where the fish will be coming. Okay guys, this rod we're using here, this is a Ripple Fisher GTX 81 PE8, an outfit for using about 100 pound. It's a nice all-round outfit with a bit of a soft tip, so really good on your stick baits. I prefer this rod as a stick bait rod. And the nice thing about this particular rod, guys, it's actually a 2-piece travel rod, and there's few GT rods like this on the market. Like I said, this is our Ripple Fisher, and we're going to be using this as a stick bait rod this week. It's got a nice soft tip, so it sort of bends into the stick bait and gives it a really nice swimming action. Okay, the next rod we have here, guys, is a Yamiga Blue Reef 7'10" PE10. So this outfit's really good for using sort of 100 to 130 pound braid, and it's got a really nice soft tip too. So this, as your heavy tackle GT stick bait rod, this is the absolute dynamite of a weapon. Can get really long casts out, and when you're fighting fish, this rod has got a really nice backbone right at the back here, so the whole rod folds away. And the next rod we have here, guys, is a Yamiga Atlas 76 PE8. Again, around 100 pounds you'll be using, sort of 130 gram lures. It's a little bit stiffer in the tip, this rod, so we use this rod primarily for popping, but it does work stick baits quite nicely. This is actually a really nice all-round rod, so if you're wanting to buy one outfit, I would definitely suggest something like this. Right guys, this is what we call a GT ice cream. It's a very basic lure. It's weighted in the tail, so you get a very far cast, and basically the reason why we'd use a lure like this is for when we got garfish in the area, or you pull up to a spot and you see a lot of surface activity. You might have small flying fish or garies shimmering in a corner, long times jumping. This is primarily a surface lure, high-speed surface lure. So what we're going to do is we'll fire it out, and you keep your rod at about a 45-degree angle and just wind it very quick like that, and the top of the rod will get the lure sort of skipping across the surface, and the lure just bounces across the top as if a garfish is getting chased by a GT or a long tom or something like that. Just a nice, quick, steady, fast retrieve. Very simple lure to use and very effective. And the takes on these lures are absolutely unbelievable. Because it's such a high-speed lure, the fish will get fully airborne to eat it. So it's very exciting. Keep that rod up at like 45-degree angle, and you'll notice the tip of the rod will just bounce a little bit like that. And that's giving the lure a very nice flicking action. So see how it just skips across the top. Looks very simple, but it's extremely effective for GT. Oh, here he comes, here he comes, Drew, here he comes. Keep going. Woo! Now that is what GT fishing is all about, guys. Right here at the boat. Look how far my lure was from the tip of my rod. That was absolutely insane. We had 2 fish, probably around the 22 to 25 kilo mark. Black and angry, and they just followed that lure all the way to the boat, nearly ate the top of my rod. Oh baby. Oh, there he is, here he is, here he is, here he is. Oh! Oh! Keep coming, keep coming. Got him! Woo-hoo-hoo! Good stuff, mate. See, we're just fishing in the shallows here, guys. We've got this pressure edge. Got a bit of current pushing over the bait fish, and you can actually see the shoals of Fusiliers jammed right up in the shallows there. And Often when you fish these really shallow patches of water like this, you get some really good sized fish. A tackle, fishing for GCs, your tackle has to be 100% the whole time. You fish with tight drags, good reels, and these rods like this, you put a lot of hurt on the fish, and if you've got a faulty knot, you're going to lose the fish straight away. So always check your gear, make sure your gear is 100% ready all the time. Oh, this guy's doing a bit of hurt. Right, when you're fighting these things, guys, it's important to keep your arm nice and straight and let the rod do the work, and use your body. So sort of lean back with your body like that, and use a bit of your body weight to pull the fish up. It's a nice fish, he's about 22. A little bit of blood coming off him, so we're going to get him in the water as quick as possible, and off she goes. There's a couple of different ways you can work a stickbait, guys. I'm going to show you two separate ways, but what you want to do is you want to incorporate those two ways when you're retrieving your lure at any one stage. So I'll show you the first way you do it, and then I'll wind it and I'll have another cast, and I'll show you another way. The first way, we basically want to cast, you get a nice long sweep of the rod, quickly wind up your slack, give it a pause, another swoop, quickly wind up your slack, give it a pause, another swoop. When you swoop the rod, guys, you want to do it nice and slowly so you can actually feel the lure working. You'll feel the lure going doof, 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 doof as it swims like that. There we go, you can feel that lure swimming. And when you wind up your slack, guys, you want to be try and be nice and quick at winding up your slack, because often the GCs will eat it on the pause, and if you've got your slack wound up nice and tight, as he eats it, you're straight tight to the fish and you're ready to go. The second way we work these stick baits, guys, is what you do, you get a walk the dog action, and you get that lure twitching from side to side with a bit of a pause in between it like that. That's absolutely deadly. When a fish comes up to eat a lure, if you can just pause it and quickly just give it a couple of twitches like that and get it walking the dog on the surface, 9 times out of 10 they'll come and just destroy the lure. So I'm going to show you how you do that. And like I said, when you're fishing a stickbait, you want to incorporate both methods. A nice long swoop, a couple of twitches, a swoop, a pause, a swoop, a couple of twitches, and you'll get that stickbait looking really lifelike. See you guys, so when you twitch it, you want to keep your line nice and tight, and you just give the rod a bit of a twitch, and you'll see that lure will walk from side to side and gets its head out of the water, and it just darts all over the place. So just nice little sharp little twitches like that. Much the way you would work you'd twitch a lure for barrow or something like that, but obviously a little bit heavier. Deep shoals are very similar to a pressure edge. Well, in actual fact, it is a pressure edge. It's just deeper water. So we've got that 10 meters of water going down to about 50 or 60 meters of water. Same story, the current's pushing up against there, hauling the bait up against that bottom corner there, and the bait are using that as shelter from the current, and obviously the GTs are there eating the bait. So a lot of the time what happens with the deep shoals is they most of the time will be on the eastern side of the reef, and you fish them on the beginning of the run in, and all the fish that are on the flats and on the reef itself will move out to those shoals during the change of the tide when the current's very slow, because that bait fish is always, it's resident bait fish, and it's always there on those reefs. So as that tide starts moving, that bait goes down to the bottom onto those shoals there, and the GTs just go to town. So you guys, we're right on the edge now. We're just coming up into the 10-12 meters, and that's all the bait fish sitting up on the, balling up on the edge. So we've got good bait fish here. There should be a fish. Let's go give it a go. Oh, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. Oh, there he is. That's it. Right here at the bite. Nice take. He hasn't woken up, this guy, yet. There he is. Come here, my friend. And keep your arms nice and straight, guys. Use your body weight on the fish. Just like that. Boga grip's your best friend, guys. You put it in the bottom crease there when he calms down. In that crease there, just like that. Open his mouth, and you got him there. And when you want to put, you don't want to put them on the hard deck, guys. We like to put them on a wet towel or just on the sponge seat, like I'll show you now. Just up she comes. Little GT, but they're great fun catching them, whether they're small or big. So we'll get this guy back in the water. Back she goes. stuff. See him. Nice.
Premiumbeat.com.
There he is.
Premiumbeat.com.
Guys, we're out here today. The wind is blowing quite strong. It's fairly rough. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a sinking stick bait. What we have here is a Barbara 200. This is a subsurface stick bait, guys. So the lure, when you're working it, will work just below the surface, between 50 and 75 centimeters below the surface. You work them like exactly the same as you'd normally work a stick bait, with that nice swoop, a twitch, a pause. But the effect of it getting below the surface is that it'll get underneath the choppy water, guys. So when a GT comes up to eat it, the stick bait won't be lost in the turmoil of the chop. So when he comes to eat it, he'll have a nice sort of clean vision, grab the lure, have a clean take, and your hookups are a lot better like that. There he is, guys. Nice fish. It's sinking Barbara lure just below the chop. Oh, there he goes. Did the trick. Right, guys, like I was explaining to you earlier, with the fighting the GT, you want to have a nice good stance. As you can see my legs here. Follow your fish the whole time, guys. If he moves, move with him and keep this arm nice and straight. And you never want to let the fish pull the rod too far down, guys, because he puts you in a bit of a situation then, and that's what hurts your back. So I'm fully leaning into this fish at the moment, guys. You can see how he just comes. That's it. Oh, nice fish. See how we've always got our stance, guys, so we're ready when the fish pulls. We're ready to absorb the shock with your legs. And always follow your fish, guys, so you're ready to absorb that shock at any time. When your one arm gets tired, guys, use your other arm when he's pulling down. Keep it nice and straight and use your back, lean back into him, guys. So guys, when you hook a fish on a pressure edge, what you want to do, generally you'll be fishing deep water, casting up into the shallows. So if you hook a big fish, you see he's a big one and he's running towards the shallows, guys, what you want to do is you want to try and use the boat and tractor pull the fish away from the reef. He'll be tearing away with line, guys, but every time he shakes his head like that, if you're using the boat, you'll be pulling him away from the reef. So that obviously aids in getting the fish out and not getting cut off. So a little bit of boat driving can go a long way in landing a big GT. Insane, guys. We had this fish, awesome 30 kilo GT. There he is right there. He's just come up and just destroyed this Barbara. There she comes. What a great fish, guys. Catching fish like these out here on the Barrier Reef, or for that matter, wherever you are in the world, whether you're fishing around islands, you're at your home location, catching them on the deep shoals, a fish like that is a memorable fish, all the best. What a great fish. We'll take a couple of quick pictures of her and let her go. But that lure right there, guys, was definitely the pick of the lure for this particular spot. Got a bit of chop, like I said, a bit of current chop as well, and obviously you saw the hookup right on the scissor, guys. So just below the chop, that lure was swimming, and man, the fish just came up, destroyed it, got a proper hookup right in the corner of his mouth. Yeah, what a fantastic fish, guys. Catching fish like that on surface lures is undoubtedly the most exciting part of fishing you could ever imagine. Just watching a beautiful fish like that coming on the surface, tearing across the water and just destroying a lure is absolutely mind-blowing. Gets adrenaline flowing, guys, and definitely advisable, get out there and go do it. Right, guys, GTs are strong and brutal fish, so when you're fighting them, a little bit of technique goes a long way, and you want to have your drag obviously set nice and tight, so you're putting a lot of pressure on the fish. So if you can put a little bit less pressure on yourself by using a bit of technique, often goes a long way, and it just makes the fight of your fish a lot more comfortable and a lot more enjoyable. So I'm going to run through a couple of tips and pointers on how to use a bit of technique, to use the back of the rod, and to use your body weight to fight a GT rather than your arms. And by doing that, you get less back pressure and the fight is a lot more comfortable. Guys, so first of all, when a fish comes up on your lure, you keep working your lure, bang, you get the hook up. You wait until the fish is set nice and tight and you can feel he's pulling line off your reel. Whilst he's pulling line, guys, you take the rod and you either put it in your gimbal belt or you just put the cushion up against the side of your body like that and you start fighting the fish, guys. What you want to do is keep your arm nice and straight, have a firm grip on the foregrip and get a nice firm stance, guys. Open your legs up a little bit, get a firm stance and use your body weight. Lean back, wind the fish forward, keep your arms straight, and as you lean back, the rod will pull the fish up, and the backbone of the rod here will lift the fish when it gets to a certain level. You don't want to pull the rod too hard, guys, because even though these are expensive and really high quality rods, they can break if you use them wrong. It's like any tool, guys. If you use it wrong, it will break. So we're going to go, and as soon as we catch a fish and hook up, guys, I'll run you through exactly what I'm doing. Everything from the stance, keeping the arm nice and straight, and using the body weight, and obviously the sea too, guys. As the swell comes up, you want to sort of lift him up like that and wind as the swell goes down. So there's a little bit of technique to fighting a fish to make it a little bit better for yourself. Oh, what a nice take. That was pretty awesome. A fish just came up and just destroyed that lure off the surface. Like I was explaining to you earlier, guys, when you fight that fish, you want to keep your arm nice and straight and lean back with the body. Have a decent stance, because when they pull you around like that, you don't want them to pull you, obviously, in the water. That gets fairly interesting. So, and when he takes line, guys, just let him go. You've got your drag set nice and tight, so just when he peels off line like that, just let him go with it. Guys, this is absolutely phenomenal. We've pulled up to this pressure edge. I've cast my popper and had the absolutely mad pack attack. There was GTs everywhere, and I've got 2 GTs hooked on one lure, guys. This is just insane. This is what it's all about. There's going to be plenty of action coming up, guys. Stay tuned. Oh, this is really interesting, guys. There's a 3rd fish following him. We had a pack of fish come up, and this is just unbelievable. This doesn't really happen, guys. Look at this other one here, guys. This is just unbelievable. He's just swimming with the others. That's just unreal, guys. We've had this pack of fish come up, destroy my popper, and the 3rd one wants to get in the mix. Lucky I don't have 3 hooks on. I probably would have caught 3. There he goes. That's just unreal. Wow. Guys, GT fishing in the Coral Sea at its best. That's just phenomenal. Packs of fish, decent sized fish too. And look at him. Pat him on the back. Oh, that's just unreal, guys. Where in the world does that kind of stuff happen? Wow, this is going to be amazing. Right, guys, while we're in the nice, calm water, clean, shallowish water, I'm going to show you guys how to work a few lures. Very, very simple. We've got a popper here, and I'm going to run you through how to work a popper, guys. First and foremost, when you cast, you want to click your bail arm over just before the lure hits the water so that the momentum of that tightens up the slack line from your cast. And then from there, when you're popping, guys, you just want to swip, boom, pop the rod down, pause, wind up your slack, and then boof, a nice big pop again. Wind up your slack, boof, nice big pop. And a lot of the time what people do is they pop the lure too fast and they use a lot of energy. So you want to do it nice and slower. The slower you can do it, sometimes the better, because the popper is supposed to imitate a little bait fish, like a smaller trevally or a trout, eating another bait fish off the surface, much like a GT would eat this popper. So that's what we're trying to imitate. Have a cast and show you how it's done. See, so you want to click a bail over so it tightened up the line in the cast, and then you wind your line tight and doof. Just a sweep of the rod. Always wind your line nice and tight so your rod's straight, and then pop. Straight, pop. Straight. See, very simple, guys. I'm not using much energy at all. And when you're doing this all day, it makes a big difference. Guys, we've pulled up to a very, very good looking pressure edge here. Why do we call this a pressure edge? Well, you can see how the current is pushing into it and creating that pressure and then falling over the back like that. So what happens here, guys, is normally what will happen is you'll get balls of bait pulled up along the edges of these pressure edge. Normally they're quite long and you get a whole lot of current folding over the top of them. Same as islands, guys. If you're fishing islands by home or wherever you are, what will happen is wherever the current's pushing, the first bit of the island it hits, you'll get a pressure edge around there where it'll be pushing bait fish tight up against the edge there. Exactly the same here. The only difference here is we have the current flowing over the top of the reef. So really, really good. We'll have balls of bait, and what will happen is the GTs will just patrol up and down the sides of these things. How you find these pressure edges when you're out on the water, guys. First of all, you want to know what direction the current's flowing, and wherever the current hits the reef first, there will be a pressure edge. So if your current's coming, if that's a reef, for example, and your current's coming from this angle, this side of it is where the pressure edge will be. So we've just on an isolated piece of the reef at the moment. This is the first bit of the, there's a little point that runs out of the end here, and the current's flowing over the top of it. We'll give it a go and see if we can't catch a fish here. Oh, big mackerel. Nice big mackerel ate that there, guys. You want to try and keep your line very tight when you hook mackerel because they've got really sharp teeth, so they can bite you off, but it looks like we got this guy. Nice Spanish mackerel. Again, variety when you're fishing for GT. Oh, there he goes, just jumped out of the water. Yeah, the variety when you're fishing for GTs is endless, guys. You can catch a lot of fish. Oh, look at him go. Whoa, that's awesome. It's a nice little Spanish mackerel that's just eating our stick bait there, guys. We'll get the hook out of this guy and send her home pretty quickly. Nice mackerel, back she goes. It's late afternoon. Bit of a pressure edge here, right at the end of the run inside. Got some nice water flowing over this reef here. Driving past, we saw a whole shot of sauries going on the surface, and yeah, we picked up the stick bait. Second throw, we got him, so nice fish. There she is. Guys, that's why you got to be using the best tackle at the best time, because even a smaller fish like this, when you hook them wrong, they can straighten up the hooks. So we're just on our way back to the boat, guys. We've got the current pumping down one of the main channels here, and it really is screaming. Just notice this eddy up here, how the current's pumping past the reef, and it's just creating a bit of an eddy there. So what happens is the current's flowing far too strong for the fish to sit on the edge of the reef. So what they'll do is they'll just sit in the eddy and just wait for bait fish that are flying past, and they'll come up and give it a go. So what we're gonna do is we'll go up current, and we'll throw our popper in that eddy and just give it a couple of pops, and we should get a fish come up and grab it. So often they'll sit on, like you'll get a pack of fish sitting in an eddy like that. We've got a perfect amount of current here. As you can see, the reef is still exposed out of the water. So as the tide runs in, all the water is just getting funneled down these channels. So the current is really screaming. Just had a cast in that eddy over there, guys, and had a nice big fish come up and eat the lure. It looks like a fish over 25 kilos. Took a fair bit of line when I hooked it, and she's still pulling around a little bit. So eddies are best to fish, guys, when there's a lot of current going. So the fish won't sit on the edge because there's just far too much current. So they just sit in the eddy and ambush any fish that come flying past. And that's exactly what we did here. We just threw our popper in the eddy, and as we popped it out of the current like that, this fish just came out into the current, just smashed it, eh? There she is on the surface there. Not a beast of a fish, but an awesome fish anyway. Always want to have your bogey grips ready, guys. Ready to go. Just grab this guy quick. Up she comes. And there you have it, guys. You see how that assist hook on the head of the popper has got that fish right on the scissor, and she's never ever going to fall off. So, beautiful fish. Just came up and absolutely destroyed that popper in that eddy there. That was fantastic. That's exciting fishing, eh? We'll get the hook out of this girl and let her go. Nice fish to end the day off. Be about 20 kilos, this fish. And we'll call it a day at that and send her home. Yeah.